Investments in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.
The other side of the IPO boom, that's the topic for today. We are seeing a boom in IPOs. Issues are getting subscribed within the hours of opening. So you are seeing IPOs get fully subscribed within a few hours and get heavily oversubscribed within the minimum period of 3 days which an IPO has to be open. Interestingly, what is aiding this huge boom in IPOs is not just the demand on listing and the grey market premium that everybody knows. The shortening of the cycle time of IPOs is only making more people speculate in IPOs. Earlier, an IPO would take much longer than it takes today. From the date of application to the date of listing would be a much longer cycle time. Today, from the date of opening of the IPO needs to be open for a minimum period of 3 days. Most IPOs close within 3 days. The allotment of shares should be done within 1 day of closing of the IPO. So on the 4th day, the allotment is done. And then within 3 days, the listing has to happen. So within 7 days of an IPO opening, you're going to have listing. So such a short cycle time encourages more people to put all their idle money in an IPO. So if people have money in the bank, they get hardly anything. So they are thinking that let me put this in an IPO, go all in and sell the shares on allotment and make a short-term capital gain. Importantly, the short-term capital gain is also a factor which is making more people speculate through IPOs because it is only 15%. So from the point of view of cycle time, taxation, grey market premium and fast buck, everybody sinks money into IPOs hoping that they would make a quick, fast buck. Look at it this way, the fact that the cycle time is reduced should actually normalize speculation. Isn't that right? Because everybody knows that stocks will be available within 7-8 days, so there is no need to be super anxious. But in reality, what has happened in our market is exactly the opposite of what all these reforms were intended for. The intention was to reduce the speculative behavior of investors, reduce scarcity, improve the throughput of an IPO and create efficiency in price discovery. But what has happened in India is the exact opposite has happened. Now, this is not surprising because whenever we have done things to improve the system only tends to get affected by the improvements first. Maybe over a period of time it will normalize, but the initial outcome is adverse. So this is the situation in this IPO boom. There are more issues coming. Seeing the kind of demand and the kind of investor appetite for IPOs, even those who are holding approvals to go public and waiting for the right moment may actually rush and advance their IPOs and raise the money in this window of time before Christmas. So while we have these 4 or 5 IPOs visible today, we could have a few more surprising IPOs come ahead of time. Now, the flip side is that this will go on till grey market premium and listing premium exists. But there will always come one greedy IPO where the pricing would be wrong, as a result of which all those who put their surplus monies and speculated would be landing themselves in a tight spot. They may be staring at losses on listing day. When that happens, then the tide will turn. Because nobody wants to make a loss on their idle money. They only want to make a profit. And it is only those who only want to make a profit who are contributing significantly to this subscription boom. Genuine investors are actually a very small number in IPOs. It is only these speculators and lottery seekers who are the main audience or the main target of an IPO. This includes even those institutions who buy stocks in an IPO, even though there is a lock-in for them, because they feel that despite the lock-in, they would be able to make a fast buck. Now, with this kind of a secular mindset driving decision making in IPOs, it's very difficult to change the color of an IPO and the pattern of an IPO and the behavioral connect of investors with an IPO. It's very, very difficult. Probably the only way this can be done is by having IPOs on the stock exchanges with price bands, open pricing, allowing the higher bidders to directly get allotments at higher prices from the issuers. That would mean that the bidding would become more efficient and there would be no grey market premium whatsoever, because everything will be transparent. This is something that many of us have mooted from time to time, but we have not been heard by the people who need to hear us. So, in the absence of a transparent exchange-driven IPO mechanism, we will see this kind of a artificial grey market premium driving subscription and then driving listing trade. So, it's this architecture, it's the structure of how an IPO is created that is contributing to the speculation and to the manipulation. But ideally, I think that we should put an end to this, because there are a lot of serious companies who also need to raise huge sums of money in IPOs, and if there is a more efficient process of price discovery in an IPO, more serious investors can participate. Today only speculators are participating. There are no serious investors. We saw the controversy even during the recent Mama Earth IPO, where a lot of people were hypercritical of that issue, but still the issue went through. Of course, it is another matter that the company followed up the IPO with a quarterly result which has surprised the market positively. But the guys who went into this IPO did not expect this quarterly result. They were going purely on the back of listing premium coming from speculative buying on listing day. It was not linked to fundamentals. So, somewhere all this should change for the better, but I am not sure when it is going to happen. Until then, people will participate in IPOs with the mindset of those buying lottery tickets, and all the surplus money of everybody would come into an IPO because it's only a 7-8 day cycle. So, the shorter cycle time will only lead to more speculation, and more the speculation, the less interesting it would be for genuine investors who want to hold a stock from IPO for 5 years to actually participate in them. That's the sad irony of all that we are seeing today. Thank you for watching this video.